Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whichever part of the world that you're watching from. And welcome to this World Water Week's talk show, which will be all about the case of the Cuando, how we can strengthen transboundary water cooperation and governance. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today, whether you're here with us live in this room in Stockholm or whether you're watching from home, online, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, my name is Hadja Yacoubi. I am a former United Nations Youth Representative for the Netherlands. But above all, I'm very honored to guide you through these next 20 minutes as we'll be diving into a very important topic and also a very exemplary case study that we'll be looking deeper into. Because in this session today, we'll really explore the collaborative efforts that have been taken to strengthen transboundary water cooperation and governance in the Cuando River Basin. It's a basin that is shared by Angola, Botswana, Namibia and Zambia. So we'll really also talk about that cooperation. Will discuss the development and integration and significance of the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan for the region and how this initiative aligns also, that is very important to say, with the topic and the theme of this year's World Water Week, Bridging Borders. I think there's no better example to link it to than that. So I'm very happy to do that today. And I'm very happy to be joined by a stellar panel of experts to help guide us through those next 20 minutes. So let me start by welcoming you to the stage, first of all. I want to say a very warm welcome to Nalucha Ngangaziba. You are the country director for WWF Zambia, so it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Then also very warm welcome here on my right to Leonisa Munjoma. You are the program manager at ZAMCOM. It's good to have you here with us as well.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we are also joined by Betty Muyatwa, who is our country representative from Namibia for today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Now, there's a lot for us to dive into. We have a very specific case, the case of the Cuando River Basin, that we can dive further deeper into. But before we do, Betty, I wanted to start with you by asking you, could you help maybe in providing us some more context and information about the Cuando River? Where is it located? You know, the countries that share it, and also perhaps its link to the Zambezi would be good to know.
Thank you so much. The Cuando River Basin is located in the southern Africa and is being shared by the Republic of Angola, Botswana, Namibia, and the Republic of Zambia. And it is associated with the Zambezi River Basin because it is sharing the borders with Namibia, Botswana, Angola, and Zambia. That is now part of the Sub-Basin of the Zambezi River Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that's the context from which we'll be having this conversation. Then, Nalucha, if I can go to you, can you maybe tell us a bit more? I mentioned it in the introduction, the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan. How did the development of that sort of go? Can you talk us through that process?
Thank you very much. So in 2022, with the funding from the Dutch Post-Lottery Code, the CASA Secretariat, WWF Zambia, as well as ZAMCOM, envisaged a project known as the Dream Fund, where the focus was for stakeholder engagement, as well as national priorities for sustainable water resource management, and also environmental flows in the Cuando River Basin. So this later on culminated into a joint approval process for the countries to develop the integrated resource management plans. And this was in 2023 with a special purpose vehicle, which was then envisaged to support the implementation of the integrated water resource management plan. And what made it easy for it to be developed was that in 2020, the countries already had developed the Cuando Joint Stakeholder Group, which was used as a foundation for undertaking the development of the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan. So what the WWF and the CASA Secretariat provided more was the financial as well as technical support to the member state. And then ZAMCOM, in its capacity as the River Basin Organization, convened the member states of the Cuando River. So the data was collected and analyzed and also validated through the Cuando Joint Action Group, which I mentioned, which was constituted in 2020. And the amalgamation of the country-specific reviews after the the documents. That's what led to the development of the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan,
Yeah.
which then was reviewed by the member states Council of
To be
Ministers
put
and
into place.
eventually adopted.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, thank you for sort of outlining that process for us. So that's on the development of the process. If we are to look deeper into the content of this integrated water resource management plan, is that something that you could speak to, Betty? So like sort of what the plan entails?
Nalucha is now briefed, spoke about the Cuando River Basin, the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan. The vision of it is to sustain and function on its own continuously by the year 2040. And in order to achieve this, we intend to have the securing the basic necessity and protection and persevering of the wealth of the species, the various species, and the strengthening of the governance and adaptation of the mitigation of the climate change. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we intend to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Drew the plan then indeed. So if we look a bit more at the sort of development of that plan, I mean, the both of you spoke to that already. Leonisa, I would love to hear from you from sort of ZAMCOM's perspective. How did the development of that plan come to be, and what was ZAMCOM's sort of contribution to it as well?
Thank you, Haja. Just as Nalucha and Betty have alluded, ZAMCOM's role it was to really do the stakeholder engagement because the Cuando River Basin is part of the 8 riparian states of the Zambezi watercourse, which is shared by 8 countries, and those 4 countries are part of the Zambezi watercourse. And we have established stakeholders coordination committees in each of the riparian states, including the 4. So our role was to engage those stakeholders for the consultation process for the development of the Cuando River Basin Integrated Plan Management Plan. And if I may speak to what it means to ZAMCOM to see this come to fruition, it's an exciting development. It's a development that attests to the fact that cooperation is real. Cooperation can happen, cooperation can be achieved, because one of our development objectives, which this plan has achieved, is that of sustainable and ecologically sound development of the watercourse resources.
Right.
For us, that is something that is exciting. And also the cooperation, the theme for this year here is all about bridging borders. And for us, we have bridged borders at sub-basin level in the Cuando. And of course, if I was to talk about the Zambezi Basin as a whole, I would go on and
there's more to be said there as well.
Yeah,
but you're speaking very much to the very core of cooperation between countries. But also, I mean, as you said, ZAMCOM was responsible for engaging stakeholders, local communities. So in that sense, it's not even cooperation across countries, but it's also within different sort of like groups that need to be attested there. I also want to, because it's interesting to hear sort of like ZAMCOM's perspective from it. Nalucha, I mean, WWF also decided to sort of support the development of this program. What made you interested in being a part of it?
What made us interested in being a part of it is really largely anchored on our overall mission as an institution, where we are looking at stopping the degradation of the planet's natural environment and build an environment in which humans live in harmony with nature. So for us, based on the basis of our mission, that's what really led us to take on this work. And also building on the fact that the development of the integrated water resource management process was really a consultative process. And as WWF Zambia, we have been working to support the protection of the Cuando River Basin and the natural resources, the river, the wildlife, the forests, and also its near pristine status to allow for the continued preservation of the ecosystem, goods and services.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. So now, I mean, we've spoken about the plan. We heard about sort of like the development of the process. I want to ask all 3 of you this question because I'm really curious to know, now that the plan has been developed, what's next? What is going to happen? Maybe Betty, would you like to start to speak to that?
Thank you very much. Now the plan has been developed and the 4 riparian states are set to go. As we speak now, there is a planning meeting that is set to take place in Harare.
Okay.
So the riparian states are ready to go. They are ready with the implementation.
Yeah.
So it is for the riparian states to start with the implementation, because the consultative and the validation workshops and the data gathering has taken place already. So now the riparian states has to start now with the
Yeah.
implementation of what has been gathered,
Yeah.
what the data that has been validated. Now we are now going into the implementation.
Right.
Yes, because
Yeah.
we have to do the implementation of what has been gathered.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, to sort of put that into practice.
Yes.
I think I can also add to that. Yes, the riparian states are ready to go to do the implementation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a plan that we do not want to see, gathering dust, as the term goes. Nowadays, it's in the computer, so it's software, it's soft copies. But what now also we need to do and are planning to do is go on a very intensified resource mobilization. It's a huge plan
Yeah.
for 4 countries, and it has a cost. It's been costed. There are a number of options that have been given in the plan on how we can do the resource mobilization.
Right.
You're talking about a plan that is $42 million US
Wow.
per year. It
Yeah.
needs that amount, and it's not small monies.
Right.
So with the discussions that have been going on here, with innovative kind of and sustainable funding opportunities, I think this is the way to go. We're going to look into that. We're going to
Yeah.
go into partnerships
Yeah.
and see how we are going to raise resources
Yeah.
so that we can implement
Right.
the short, medium, and long-term plans
Right.
that have been outlined
But
in the
definitely
plan.
a priority
Yeah.
for the time to come to focus on
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
Nalucha, how would you speak to what needs to happen now that the plan has been developed?
Yes, for us as WWF, as well as the other partners, ZAMCOM and CASA, it's very key to see that the plan is implemented, but key to implementation is the financing Loniso speaks to. Yes, the plan has been costed, and we are looking at raising not less than 5 million USD
Wow.
per year for its implementation, but also to continue to explore innovative funding strategies that could
Yeah.
be used to raise the funding,
Yeah.
but also look at other collaborations that we'll be able to bring on board.
Yeah.
Further, we are also looking at continuing to support the environmental flows assessments of the Cuando River. These and other interventions to prepare for the future investments program in order to realize the future aspiration of the member states with regards to sustainable water resource management.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. So there's enough on the table in terms of to-dos to focus further on. I want to get back to one element that was mentioned previously, which was the involvement of local community stakeholders. It was amazing to hear you speak to that at first, Leonisa. And now I want to go to you, Betty, because I want to ask, can you maybe sort of like visualize that a little bit for us? What does it look like to involve these local communities and stakeholders?
Thank you very much. The reason why we did involve the stakeholders was because those are the people that are going to be part of the implementation process.
Right.
That's why we needed their input into the data collection, and the people that were involved in the data collection, that we involved in the collecting of data were the farmers, people from the stakeholders from agriculture, education, planners, and we also did the data collection. We also involved the people who were in the field, like the agricultural farmers, the livestock farmers, the conservancies, the lodge owners, all those, because those are the people that are in the field, the people who are on the ground.
Right.
So we needed to involve them to collect data from them.
Yeah.
Yes, because those are the people that we are going to involve.
Yeah.
We are going to be working with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and not probably just working with, but also the people that will ensure the longevity of the project, right? So when we talk about true sustainability,
Yes.
it's also can you protect sort of the upkeep of that longevity in the long run. So it's amazing to hear. I mean, when we talk about sort of longevity and sustainability in that sense, one thing that is something that I think in the whole world, in any sector where you go, is something that is so fundamental and yet often lacking, which is the monitoring and and evaluation of that implementation. I was curious in the context right now of, the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan that we're talking about. Perhaps Leonisa, you can speak to that, but what will the monitoring and evaluation of it sort of look like in the aftermath?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you have said, it's very important to monitor and evaluate.
Yeah.
So we have a plan in place in terms of monitoring and evaluation. It's threefold. We have, as we have spoken already, we have these national stakeholders coordination committees, which are at ground level, at national level. So they are the ones that were responsible for coming up with the national IWRM plans at national level, like what was said, the process. So we'll go back to them. We expect them to report on progress on the ground in as far as IWRM plan implementation is concerned. And we also have a middle level a monitoring group which we call Zambezi Technical Committee. And these are the ones to which the national coordinating committees will report to, and they will report to ZAMCOM, and then we do the monitoring together with our partners.
Right.
And also going to the field, it is our hope that there will be some field work where we can do inspections to see what is going on, as well as monitoring, impact on the resources that we have developed the plan for, is to see improvement on the resources. How are the resources doing on the ground?
Managed.
So there will be that impact monitoring, analysis, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Thank
to manage
you.
that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, Betty, is there anything you'd like to share on that and or add to when it comes to monitoring and evaluation?
Just in addition to what Leonisa has said, I think the monitoring process is already set out, as she has said. We have people on the ground. One of those people has been mentioned. I'm part of the NASC in Namibia. So yes, we are doing the reporting has to be done, as she's saying. That it is properly done, that we are just not putting up a plan that is not going to be, properly monitored. Because if it's not monitored, then we are planning to fail. So
exactly.
with the and then amount that is going to be put, and we are not doing the proper planning, I think we are not really planning to achieve something. Yes.
So that's something that you're wary of in that process.
Yes. So we need to really do proper planning so that it can be proper monitoring for the plan to be properly implemented. Yes.
Of course. That's really good to hear that you guys are on top of that. Now, I mean, when we talk about synergies and sort of things contributing to one another, I was actually curious as a final question, and I want to pose it to all three of you. Are there any sort of projects or initiatives or programs that would be supporting sort of, after you've implemented the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan, the management of the Cuando River Basin in that sense, the plan for it? I don't know, Nalucha, is that something that you'd like to speak to as a first?
Yes, so there are programs both from the non-state actors as well as from the state, the member states, in the sense that we have been working to ensure that the integrated water resource management plan, especially the activities, are also integrated into the member states' focus areas in terms of their developmental plans for water. So you will see that the plan really has a focus on building strong, resilient livelihoods for the communities along the Cuando River. And also on top of that, it's also going to support issues to do with climate sustainability overall in terms of how communities as well as governments. So all those plans are speaking to the climate plans that the countries have developed, the member states, but also some of the activities and projects that we are working on as non-state actors in the region.
That are important to take into account. That's amazing to hear. Betty?
I think Naucha has put it very correctly that whatever we do is not outside what the rebellion states are aiming to do. Yes, so they are all in line.
Right.
Yes.
That's really good to hear that there's also that coming together there. And then finally, Leonisa?
Yeah, just to add to the fact that, the IWRM plan for the Cuando, which is a sub-basin of the Zambezi watercourse, also is linked to the bigger program that we have at as Zambezi Water Course Commission, which is the program for integrated development and adaptation to climate change. So it's aligned to our programs as well. And we're also in the process of developing an investment plan through funding from various supporters, and it's aligned to that as well. So we do not develop programs in isolation, but they are aligned, the projects that are suggested and proposed within these plans, they are aligned to the bigger plans.
I love how you say that, indeed. It's not in isolation, it's all in connection to each other, and it all sort of taps into that, the intentionality, the aim, the very core intention that you have and that you want to carry out. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights, your expertise. I think that this is an exemplary case that, we can draw a lot of wisdom and lessons learned from, also to be applied in other sort of cases when we talk about bridging borders and working together. So thank you so much for sharing all your insights, and I want to thank everyone here for tuning in and listening in today. Thank you so much. Thank you to each and every one of you.